As we saw, we can expand the video effects and we can change things like position, scale, rotation, anchor point, etc., on any clip. Any changes that we make this way are known as global changes. But what if we want for these changes to occur over time? Well, that's when we use keyframes. So let me go ahead and globally change the scale of this clip. What that means is that I am going to change the scale of the clip, but I won't change the scale over time. So it's going to remain at 25% for as long as the clip plays. On the other hand, I would like for the clip to just gradually move from left to right. And in order to do this, I need to use keyframes. A keyframe is a moment in time where I indicate a value for a property, in this case, position. Then I go to a different point in time and I indicate a different value for position, and Premiere will interpolate between the two values in the amount of time that passes between the first and the second keyframe. So, in order to have a keyframe that works, we have to have at least two keyframes. One keyframe would be equivalent to a global change. How we add keyframes is very simple. To the left of the names of all of these parameters, we have little stopwatches. You can see them to the left of the word position, scale, rotation, anchor point, etc. This little stopwatch means that changes in time are possible or not. Right now, the stopwatch is closed, which means that changes in time are not possible. But if I click on it, I will open the stopwatch, and this now means that changes in time are possible, and I get a little diamond-shaped keyframe on this mini representation of the timeline. All I have to do is move my playhead to a different point in time, and now I change the value for position, and I can do it a number of ways. I could just click and drag it here on the screen, I could scrub these numbers, I could type the number, etc., and automatically I will get a different keyframe. You can see now, if I play the clip, that Premiere is going to interpolate between the value of the first keyframe and the value of the second keyframe. If I scrub the timeline, you can see it as well, and you can even see the path that the clip is going to take to go from point A to point B. All of these keyframes occur the same way. So I go to one point in time and I set my keyframe by clicking on the stopwatch. Again, the stopwatch means changes in time are possible. I can also use these keyframe navigators to move my playhead or CTI to wherever I want. Let's try one for scale. So at this point in time, which coincides with the first keyframe for position because I used the keyframe navigators, I'm going to set a keyframe for scale. I'm going to use this keyframe navigator to navigate to the second keyframe for position, and at this point in time I'm going to change my value for scale, making my clip a little bit larger. So between the first and the second keyframes, the value for scale will interpolate at the same time as the value for position. So as the clip moves from left to right, it's going to become larger. If I want to speed up the change, I can move the keyframes closer together. I could do a marquee select, and then I could drag the keyframes to wherever I want. This is going to make the rate of change a lot quicker. I can also move them farther apart, which will make the rate of change a lot slower. And I can keep on adding more and more keyframes by using these keyframe navigators or not. I could set one for rotation at this point in time, navigate to the next one for either scale or position. Remember, they're in the same place. And now I can change the value for rotation, and there you go. Now at the same time, the clip is going to be changing position, scale, and rotation. I can move these keyframes all together, just like what we did before. And we can also copy and paste them. One of the best ways to copy and paste keyframes inside of Premiere is by pressing and holding the Option key on the Mac or Alt key on Windows and then dragging the keyframe. This makes a copy of it. Now I have made copies of all three of my first keyframes for position, scale, and rotation, which means that my clip is going to go back exactly to the same state how it started. Let's see. Goes to the right and then back left. I can also copy all three at the same time. Remember, the shortcut is Alt for Windows or Option for Mac. Click and drag. That makes a copy. In this case, what's going to happen is that the clip is going to start left, move to the right, and then hold its position because these keyframes, these two set of keyframes that are in the middle, are identical, so there will be no interpolation. And then it's going to go back to the point of origin. I can move these to the right a little bit more. And there you go. So keyframes is when we have two sets of values for the same property and Premiere interpolates between these two sets of values, creating motion. Whether it's position, scale, rotation, anchor point, etc., we will get changes in time by using keyframes.